Hey now, thanks for tuning in again. So at the end of our last video, the snippet from the location our commenter left was just too cool not to make its own video on, so let's just dive right in. Today we're taking a closer look at Granite Peak, a remote isolated mountain sitting deep inside the US Army's Dugway Proving Ground in western Utah. From the outside it looks like just another desert peak. But this location has a long history of restricted access, weapons testing, and sealed-off infrastructure. Historical mining tunnels, early military installations, and decades of classified programs have all left their mark here. Our goal isn't to push claims of hidden bases, but to examine whether Granite Peak's geology, terrain, and documented activity make it a plausible site for an underground facility. So, right off the bat, this of course doesn't show much until you start looking back. So we're going to go back to the very first imagery here, and first before we go, let's take a look at some of our themes here. Dry lake bed, deserty area, perimeter road, rock mountain. And this is granite, and there is a definite perimeter road, and it's even, it looks like it's fire protected, or they've burned it off, or graded it. I'm not really sure, but our main theme is sticking here. Okay, let's dive into the location, and we'll get into some of the other side places after. This gets really cool when you start to look back in time. So let's go to earliest version, I think, is 93. Now, right there, I mean, this is where I had the pin, which is there's no parking lot, there's nothing going on here in 93. I wouldn't even say that there's I would say there's nothing there, in my opinion, my eye. Now, I think this is about 13 years later or so. Look at this. So there's definitely some kind of hole there. You can tell by the shadow, and it looks like a pile of rock. A bunch of equipment here, and you guessed it, there's a quarry, and we're going to see it later. And it's up the road a little bit. So, but look at this. Something is happening here, and you can kind of see it a little bit better here. Look at that. So 2006 later in the year. That shadow is really casting. Okay, so the sun's coming in and shining down. What would that be? We're kind of pointed, it would be west if we were true north, or east if we were true north. You can tell. So that's a angle, and look at it on the building. So that building's pretty tall. Look at its shadow. Look at that shadow. So that's tall right there, right? And this looks more like a high noon. And look, it's completely empty all of a sudden. So 3 years later, nothing's happening here. You can see some stuff. Maybe it's finished here. Maybe it's storage. Maybe this is just storage, but there's something here, right? I mean, there shouldn't. It's kind of, and this is I think that's what we're looking at modern. Oh no, we got a couple years to go. 2013. So look at that shadow. I mean, and you can even, and that I should showed you that. That gives you an idea of what. Look at that mountain, right? And so does it go up? I think it just goes down. I think it's just the weird view, or straight in. Look at that one. So again, this is some great imagery here. This is 2020. And let's sidetrack over here. This is Bing Maps, right? And so I can't tell what year this is from, but it obviously looks like either it's in construction, or maybe there's nothing here, or that's the process of it being created. I can't tell, right? It looks weird in Bing Maps. Is this just storage? Is this just an illusion? And it doesn't tell me, that doesn't look weirdly doctored. So the sun is coming in from the right. Maybe it shows nothing. This is a weird one. That's 2021. And this is 2022. Does that look kind of weird? Like, maybe cut off. Maybe it's nothing here. I can't tell. Maybe they started taking pictures at the right time, sun-wise. But that is interesting. That's interesting, like these earlier ones. Like, what would all this be stored here for? Maybe it's just maybe they're drilling out granite. You know, that's all I can think, but I don't know. Could just be a granite mine, but you're gonna see, why would a granite mine need a perimeter road and some of these other locations here? Let's move on. If you're interested, it's right there on the corner. You can easily find it. Granite Peak. We're gonna move up the road here a little bit to look. Quarry. Look at this. So I don't know. This could just be a quarry, but I don't know. Again, this perimeter road goes all the way around and very clean. I mean, it looks like a decent road. And you know, if there is that entrance, where's the exit? This is where I had thought maybe the exit would be. I'm just speculating here. You know, maybe these could be elevators. Maybe there's absolutely nothing here. Another quarry type location. But again, these always kind of interest me because this is already a cut off military base. Why does it need another fence? You know, that interests me. Now these I think are just like, I don't know, these like shipping container buildings get me in all these places. They must be like training, or I'm not sure what these are. But this one isn't, you know, gated or anything. No perimeter gate. So another type of facility, no perimeter gate, right? Facility, gate. What's it need a gate for? It's already on a restricted base. And let's move down here. And so, oh yeah, here's another, looks like kind of like maybe a practice city or something. I don't know what this represent. I seen this in the other parts, like maybe this is a ship configuration, you know, maybe people train here or something. The only thing I can think of. Hopefully you can't hear my mouse clicks this time. You know, this is another, you know, mini Granite Peak and stuff on top of it, right? A pretty well used road to just these kind of facilities that are sitting up here. Maybe something's underneath here too. Solar power, gated building. See, it's like, this is already at the top of a frickin' mountain. What does that need to be gated for? You know, I don't know. Perimeter road. It's like, this might be a mini base, you know, here, you know, looking up, you know, perimeter road, desert, perimeter road, rock. What's this thing? Maybe you can get from over in here into here, right? And but see, this perimeter road continues all along this. And I think there's old mining operations here. Like I was like, what is this, right? Well, I don't know. But this road leads up to like what looks like an old, so I don't know, it could be a old mining town up in here, or I don't know. I didn't try to deviate from those. I'm just more interested in kind of the main themes. But there's a road all the way around this big old granite place in the middle of a military base. And you know, here is another same type building like we see on the other side over here, like I mentioned. But look, no gate around it. No gate. It's all just speculation, trying not to drive myself too crazy. But when I started to look back on this little thing here, and it's just that was interesting, because it doesn't look like there's anything there in 1993, and all of a sudden, around the time after, you know, Bob Lazar outed some of these other places, maybe they're making other facilities, maybe they're moving things. But that, to me, that's a pretty big shadow, because that shadow there, that's a pretty tall building, right? That's a big shadow. And it looks it's like your mind wants to think that something's there, but it could, you know, it could just, I don't know, man. Like this is the one, that one, this one interests me. You know, it doesn't look like much there, and you got to take that into consideration. I just wish I can't tell when this photo is from. And I don't think Bing Maps updates their imagery much. Anyway, what an interesting one, right? That that one, your mind wants to think like that is some kind of opening. But is there the foot traffic? It looks like it, you know? Looks like that road is pretty well used in and out of there. And you know, when you kind of zoom out, that looks pretty interesting. And it looks scrubbed there, right? That doesn't look right. Where's the shadow? There should be at least a little shadow here, right? There's shadows here, but I can't tell. The sun looks like it's coming in. See, there's two different, see, I think it's coming in like this. I don't know. The one shadow is on this side and these shadows are over here. Isn't that interesting? These shadows are on the same side, and you can see it again, but it doesn't look the same right there. Anyway, let me know what you think. Does this make sense? I mean, perimeter road, mountain, entrance. Where's the exits? Yeah, some things to think about. Hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to check out the Discord. We can hop in there and talk about this even further. And thanks for tuning in. Thank you.